You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
It's Wednesday.
I keep on every time. You know, that intro sparks, I couldn't think of that word successfully or whatever the word is. I had that same issue today. I think I'm losing my mind a little because I was making my morning video today and the term I was looking for was use all the tools at your disposal. But I couldn't think of the word disposal. I kept thinking of like a disposal, like where you put your garbage. And I'm like, I can't use that word. I didn't know. And so I wound up on the video saying, I can't think of the word. And I'm one take.
Sometimes it happens. Yeah, one take Jordan, right?
I'm one take Jordan, so we live with it. You gotta own
beauty of live video, right? Not only do I cut people off like I just did there, and it sticks, out forever for the world until Zuckerberg decides to pull it down. Everyone. This is it. This is live. We go live. We hit the big red button. And what you see is what you get. It's kind of crazy, but
and here's the thing. I actually am surprised occasionally that I just assume that everybody knows that. Everybody kind of knows that. Listen, nobody really cares. They're too worried about themselves. Don't worry, make some mistakes. It's fun and all that. But I do a lot of podcasts and interviews with people, and I forget sometimes that they might be nervous, and so I come off like callous, thinking, "Oh, you just come on and talk." But some people aren't like that. But fortunately for you and for me and for the car buying public out there today, and just today, we've got somebody who we're in a string of people who are like really young, really good looking, really smart, and yes, yeah. Have the whole package, and I have wisdom at a young age, which is insanity. And this particular guy is no exception. Should we interview him, or do you have any other?
Well, Dan, I think there's one thing we need to get to before we introduce our good-looking guest. Is this? I think this is. Yeah, because it's live. You have to jab the host every once in a while to remind him of things like sponsors.
Yes, it's very important. So let's talk about our sponsor.
Sponsors up.
Actually, this is a great company. I was actually there this morning doing a strategy session. Very important. Interaction is one of those unique companies that actually does the impossible. It makes HR profitable. Can you imagine? I mean, the biggest expense everybody knows is the weak link in every company nowadays is the human capital. It's the people, and so there's revenue operations, there's sales operations, there's service ops and all that stuff. But what these people do better than anybody else is talent ops. They figured out how to make HR profitable. It's amazing. You got to check them out, and we'll talk. In fact, we're going to have them back on the show to talk about them afterwards.
Awesome.
And what they do is they figure out how to employ people with love. So speaking about our guest, I am like Mr. Segue. Are you kidding me? This is
there's no one better.
Yeah, that's right. So please, without any further ado, let me bring up probably the most interesting fellow you've met in a long time, my new friend Jason Marc Campbell. Come on down. Oh, I forgot to put my arms up after all that.
I'm learning already.
So this is great. We have, Chris Stone. We were talking about it earlier. He's got the mic in his hand like Elvis. So we are expecting a little tune.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, I'm going to bring my radio voice if I'm going to be doing this.
Holy moly.
Okay, let's just stop because we can't have the guest look and sound better than us, Dan. It's like,
that's crazy. What kind of mic are you using there?
So it's interesting. This is actually a Rode podcaster, but USB. So, you go fancy. You got to get those XLR cables for those who are in podcasting. But this one, USB, plug it in, and sounds fantastic.
Beautiful. So is it USB and XLR if you wanted to put it?
No, you can buy a different one that has XLR, and it's not even the one I recommend. And it's funny, I'm in this house with one of my good friends as I'm visiting London right now. He's recording a session right now as well, but not as cool as this one. Definitely not as cool as this.
I'm embarrassed for him.
Yeah, I know, right? He's like he's playing at a lower level. That's why I'm on the second floor, right?
Go down and bring him up. Yeah, or go.
Careful,
go
he might be very excited about that offer.
Yeah, we'll get him on. But I want to hear about you because you've had a launching. You've actually launched a real book of which you don't have a copy because you're terribly unprepared. This is what happens. When people try, they go and visit London and they just go crazy and they forget everything. Who launches a book and doesn't bring them with them on their travels?
That would be me trying to pack one suitcase. And instead of bringing books, I brought my entire studio with me, which I love. And people were like, how are you going to do your show on the road? I was like, I have a foldable light. I have my camera. I have my microphone. I have my laptop. So looking good and sounding good is a very mobile thing.
Look at that. And so now, is that what you teach people to do? Is that what's your gig?
Yeah. No, for me, it's sales training. I just help people who have sales reluctance. And this is really the focused type of person that I like to work with, is someone that's doing an amazing job as a small business, ethical business, kind of values driven, wants to make an impact, but sales, that evil monster in the corner that they have so much hesitation to do. And I have to teach them how to do it from a place of love. And it goes beyond sounding good. It actually works really good. And this is the book that I brought out to the world a couple months, 2 months ago now. That's been a fantastic adventure.
Really? So now, selling with love. We've had, do you know Larry Levine?
Of course. Yeah. He was on my podcast. I'm going on his soon. This is like, we have this unit of love, heart, all the fluffy words about selling to get those people to love it.
Yes. Yeah. So Chris Stone has one coming out. It's called Selling with Bullets. He's like the aggressive guy that he does the opposite of what other people think. You always have to claim, but that's excellent. Yeah. Great guy. Great idea. So it's the same thing now. So look at this. Is Chris Stone not the best producer on the planet?
Absolutely. Actually, I have an admiration because I'm also a technophile, a geek. I like using OBS as my studio. I have a feeling you're probably doing something similar, Chris. So I am appreciating the level of artistry that you bring to this cast. And
thank you.
Salute you.
Well, he's doing a great job, Dan, of selling the book properly on his website. Not only is it available on all the tubes where you can buy all of the books, but look at this. You can buy one book at a price, but you also can buy bundles of books right here on the website. Sounds like this guy knows a little bit about some sales. What do you think?
Yes. Well, not just sales, but marketing. And it's the same thing because it's the same person right in there. Well, now, when you're working, do you work with teams or individuals, or you said solopreneurs or entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I prefer individuals. So people that are starting up, and if it's a company, I'll work usually with the CEO, or they'll assign one person in their company that's kind of in charge of their sales or marketing, or they'll use the fancy term, the smarketing, which the new age ones like to use. But it's very interesting because I came from a background of personal growth education online, and it included a lot of online direct response sales. And I use that term deliberately because I feel that a lot of the marketing that we teach online now has a lot more essence of sales because you're moving people down a funnel, down a pipeline, and there's a lot of sales elements. So even in the way that I speak about sales, it includes a lot of elements of marketing, from capturing leads, nurturing leads, and then selling the leads happens on an automatic conveyor belt online. And I think that's an important conversation around sales as well.
Yeah, it's a whole that's that system of marketing is actually selling before the sale. If they go through that funnel in that marketing, by the time they get to you, they're 90% there.
Yeah.
But you still
sell
have
before
to
the sale.
Right. Yet the people still have to be trained how to ask for the order. So what do you think prevents people from doing that?
Yeah, that's a good place to start. There's a lot of baggage that comes with sales that also accompany a lot of the baggage that comes with money. And if we start with the money part, it's so fascinating to me because a lot of the people I work with will be consultant or coaches. And what they'll do is they will have a one-on-one, like an initial consultation with somebody, right? Which ends up being whether it's a consultation call or a coaching call. And the entire process of their initial discussion is actually the same layout as a discovery call for a sales call. It basically is a sales call up until the moment that they say, well, if we'd like to proceed together, this is the price and I'd love to move forward. Would it be Visa, MasterCard, like whatever the sale point that they would make? That's the only difference between the two. And so they have this consistent energy throughout the call. And then the moment it becomes clear that this is a sales conversation, they start thinking about money. That's when a lot of the blocks come in. In the book, I talk about all the different types of emotions that happen in sales. I can break that down and speak about what is the most common stuff that usually blocks people.
Please do.
If you think about the major reasons that were blocked around sales, one of the emotions that can be predominant in most people going forward trying to sell is what I call shame and guilt blockages, right? And what that looks like, or how does that created, is whenever you're going into a sales, it's like you're so shameful about even asking for the money. It feels embarrassing. You lock up, and it's like a terror feeling around the responsibility that might happen around a sale being made. Now, the source of those, I've noticed, one of them I find is actually quite healthy, and I'd love to start there. If somebody is selling a terrible product, like imagine you have the car, this car is breaking down the moment the person drives far enough from the lot that you can't read the license plate. That's when the guarantee's over. That car is going to break into pieces, and you go ahead and you sell it like a reliable vehicle. You should have shame and guilt coming up in your emotional radar to tell you that this feels wrong. You wouldn't do this to a family member that you cared about. And that's where I see it's a signal that comes to the body telling you, hey, maybe you should be improving the product. There's something wrong here.
All right. Well,
and
so
that's the healthy one.
Okay, I got to cut you off because great, totally agree. So now you're speaking to an entrepreneur, or he owns this business, or he or she owns this business, or a consultant, and they think their product is bad?
Well, I'd say this is one of the sources of shame and guilt blockages, but not the majority of the people listening here are having this problem.
Well, I think workers, employees in a car dealership may be having that issue. So, and that totally prevents them. So what would you suggest they do?
So for people like that is to learn to fall in love with the product again. If there's not anything wrong with the product, right? Like if you know that this product is terrible, but you're still asked to push it, you need to kind of sit with your own integrity, your own values, and reevaluate if this is going to be the type of career you want to build on by doing kind of manipulative sales, tricky sales to sell things where what you're offering is so much less than what you're asking in return. I mean, it might be a good time to introduce the premise of how I speak about selling, which is when you know what you offer is so much more than what you ask in return. That's the selling with love. That's the juiciness. That's when you get enthusiastic. You sell abundantly. But I'd say a common mistake that somebody working for a car dealership say, look at a car, it's selling for $500, and they're saying, oh my God, this is not even a reliable car. But then you're thinking, wait, like the person's excited that they get to buy this for $500. And this might be a good deal for them. So don't think your biases around what's good or bad is the same as the biases for who you're selling to. So the revisit to do here is to maybe understand your clients a bit better so that you can understand the value that it brings to them. Because that $500 car, if they have skills on fixing it up and it gets them to A to B and that's fitting the budget, that's the perfect thing you should be selling to them.
Well, I don't know about anybody else, but that was worth the price of admission for me. You just earned your spot on this show. That was definitely money right there. Because I was originally I was expecting you to say something like I would say. It was like, just quit. Just quit. Just go there.
No, because let's flip it around in a more exciting, like this scenario I find is very funny. Like, imagine you're a regular person making, let's say 50,000 a year, okay? And you decide to go work for a dealership, and let's say it's a Lamborghini, or my friend just drove me around in a Bentley, so I'm gonna pump him up. A Bentley dealership, and you're selling this thing for $250,000. Now, someone walks in, they're like, "Wow, this is really interesting. What do you think about the car?" And you're like, "You know what? It's got a very similar engine than the BMW, and it's 4 times the price. If I was in your shoes, I wouldn't get this Bentley. It's a much better value with a BMW." That is you showing zero empathy for the client you're selling to, because they're not thinking like you. And so if you want to be good at sales, one of the key loves in selling is actually love the client, and to love them is to understand them. That person wants the privilege, the prestige, and the experience of being able to drive a Bentley. And that's a feeling a BMW cannot provide. And if you don't understand that, you won't be able to sell it with enthusiasm and understand the value that you're providing when you do make that exchange.
You see, when I told Chris Stone that you were coming on, he says, "Oh, not another blowhard." But no, you are the real deal. I mean, this is money.
Well, the other thing too is long-term implications for someone who sells the guarantee, the car off the lot sort of scenario. Long-term, as a salesperson, that could come back and haunt you later, right?
Yes. Short answer is yes. But I would say we all go through growth stages. I mean, I've made sales in my early 20s that I'm not particularly proud of. I remember selling a coaching program for $100,000 to somebody that at the time I felt like that was valuable. I was in this bubble in the culture, and there were certain things that I knew that I should have questioned myself better. I should have ensured the product was better. And, I'm not proud of that sale, but it's in those experiences that I've learned that there's better ways to sell. Unfortunately, the cost was externalized in the moment. And so there is a sense of forgiveness that I think we need to have, and an understanding we need to have, that as we sell, we grow from being, "Oh my God, I'm afraid of selling," to, "Oh my God, I learned to sell. I'm unstoppable. I'm the best in the world. Let's sell, get money." Then growing up and being like, "Wait, no, there's a lot of power that comes with sale. I'm going to be very careful and not push too hard, because if I do that, then, it might be wrong for them," to being like, "Hey, when I know this is great, I get to lead people to make a decision, and that's a beautiful way to sell." And that's what I'm encouraging people to discover faster without having to stagnate and spend time in the ones that are, some of them are effective, but they hurt in the long term.
Money. So a two-part question. One, I'm still going back to the dealership. That scenario, when a person is starting to get to that feeling that this isn't of value and all that, they can easily start infecting other people in that same environment. One little, kind of sour ball just it infects the whole area. So how do you suggest that the companies and the managers of those companies really get a feel for the place and see what's going on so they could stop it before it gets hold?
That's a good question. There's 2 things that came to mind. One is while I worked for a company that was selling personal growth education, okay? One of the products they would have would be from $250 to $500 for an online course. This company was Mind Valley. And I have so much love for this company, and the products they sell are amazing. And the people that buy it have amazing transformation, whether it's in mindfulness, spirituality, productivity, health, and fitness. There was one individual that was building these courses, and they were like, "You know what? I can't believe we're charging this much for these courses. This is so overpriced. You could go on Udemy and get things for like $20, or even some of this information you could find on YouTube." And they were negative throughout. They were definitely not a culture fit, right? And, in the process, that person, there was a departure. They left the team because they started infecting everyone else. And then the total energy went down. And what happened is this person was so out of contact with the end user. They were developing the products in the back end and then just saying like, "Oh, the work that I'm doing is probably," and they had their own idea of their own income and how much that price, again, being like the Lamborghini or Bentley dealership, they had their own biases, and that needs to be taught. And when I think about your exercise or your example about the car dealership, the only thing that comes to mind, and the biggest thing I always advocate, and every time I'm in a marketing or sales role, is how many conversation are you having with people that have made the purchase before? I have this fun story that I even talk about in my book. I was selling energy clearing sessions, okay? And I just want to be clear, I was feeling very skeptical. I was like, energy clearing, this sounds a little woo-woo. And I had to go sell it. And here's the problem that, again,
I don't understand. Like personal energy or?
So you would join these calls and a psychic would come and clear the energy for everyone that was logged in.
I see. Okay.
That sounded weird to me. So I went to experience one and it didn't do much for me. And I was like, wait, it's not about me. So I went and called all the people that bought it the year before. And I said, I'd love to have a conversation with you. There's something powerful that happens when people invest in wanting to make a change and go through a routine that allows them to facilitate that change that I could not appreciate. And the stories they're telling me about the transformation they're getting from doing these things, I was like, what is going on? I need to sell this enthusiastically and powerfully, because everyone that's like that, stuck, that gets to have that transformation that I get to provide for them, that is worth it, and I'm going to do it. Now, in a car dealership, I would say find past people that have bought from the car dealership and make these salespeople get on calls with them and ask them, are they happy about their purchase? To remind them constantly that there's some differences you make in people's lives, and what you think is a bad product might be the perfect product for someone else.
That's just super advice. That's very good. So what are your programs look like? Did you lose a pen cap or something? I tell you, if I lose my pen cap, I can't even think straight. I mean, I'm looking at it'll take me, I could lose an hour a day looking for my, and I'm not even using the pen cap. I mean, I'm using the pen.
I keep forgetting, like, Jason, this is the first time you've been on Dan Jordan Live. Like, you could do anything. You could like do this on your forehead and he will talk about it right away. So it's like, squirrel, and that'll.
Well, to be honest, I had to find a great charger cable to make sure we stay alive and bring the energy.
I was being courteous, buying time for my guest, Chris Stone.
Okay.
Okay. That's exactly what I was doing, and I could monologue for a while longer if you need to go downstairs and get your friend and get a cable if you want. I got no problem.
No, it's plugged in. It was just on the ground. We're good.
Oh, okay.
For those of you watching and listening, we got Jason Marc Campbell, who has written the book Selling with Love and the Selling with Love podcast, which I'd love to talk about here as well. Jason, not Jason Campbell, the former quarterback for the Washington Commanders, I guess, now, even though you guys look exactly alike. But so if you were listening or watching right now, don't be a chicken. If you've got any questions for Jason, Marc Campbell, or Dan Jordan, or heck, me, I'll even answer those too. So anyway.
And that is something.
No, Dan, we lost your audio.
No, I thought it was me for a second.
No, I
could.
This is
while we're waiting for Dan to come back, we'll fill up some time, and I can talk to you about. Well,
I can't hear you now.
Oh,
all right, Marc Campbell, you can hear. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, Jason Marc Campbell, what we just talked about. We were talking about this. Oh, the football, this and that. It was so good. The question I had before you screwed me
if
up.
you want some time to get back to it, I do have something I could elaborate on, which is
feel free.
On the shame and guilt blockages, I only spoke of one of the sources, which is when you have a bad product, but I might want to elaborate on what most people have, which is their own limiting beliefs around sales, about the identity of what it means to be a salesperson. And, we use the example of the car sales, and already this is a very powerful meme that exists in our mind, that whenever you step into the world of sales, you are like that used car salesperson stereotype of a bad deal, of a ripoff that you know of or that happened to you at a very emotional age of making your first big purchase. And acknowledging that used car sales is probably not where your top 1% salespeople all find themselves building the most magical career, ends up being a stepping stone for a lot of people in the midst of a change of career. So your sales experience with that might not have been the best, and you feel that every time you sell, you're stepping into that identity. And what I want to remind people is when you actually go out and sell, you actually can step into the identity of the greatest people in the world. Like, put the sales label aside and think of the people that inspire you the most. You know, aside from Dan here, I would think, you know, if I'd ask you, gentlemen, who are some of the biggest idols you look at in the world, like, that are known, influential business owners?
Chris Stone, you're going to have to answer him because I can't hear squat, but I'm going to get off and then come back on. But I heard that he asked me a question. So, Chris Stone, it's on you.
Well, you know, I guess my biggest influences are more music.
Okay, tell me about a musician.
Behind me. You know, a lot of people make fun of the artist Sting or Gordon Sumner, but I consider Sting an incredible bassist, an incredible he has an incredible knowledge of music and songwriting, and I haven't really liked a lot of what he's done in the past maybe 10 years, but he was a huge influence on me in learning the instrument, but also learning how to write music. So I love these types of examples because it speaks to somebody who's in the arts and the creatives. And I love working with the creatives because they typically have the biggest blocks around sales. But Sting was showing up to press conferences. Sting was doing stuff to sell his tickets, promoting his album, going on tour, doing the PR. All of those are roles of a great salesperson too. And he had to sell. So Sting is a salesperson. And so instead of thinking of those negative stereotypes in sales, I encourage people to think of the people they look up to and go, well, that person was also a salesperson. So maybe I could channel my inner Sting when I go out and rock it on the sales call. You know what I mean? So that's a great analogy too. And you know, Dan, while he's getting himself together there, he says, you know, a lot of people will say that they're not a good salesperson, and he'll ask them, well, are you married? And, you know, inevitably they'll say, well, yeah. And it's like, well, you just convinced someone to spend the rest of your life with them. And so if you think you're not a good salesperson, then, you know,
you sold a product with a guarantee that is till death to us part.
Right.
And I love that you brought this up because I actually use that example and speak about relationships in twofolds. I say to get into a relationship is a sales process. To grow and maintain a relationship is a sales process. Wow. And you know, a lot of people, they'll be like, okay, Jason, like, what's the best line I should use to close, right? And then it's like, well, that's like asking Jason, you know, if I wanted to get married, should I be on the left knee or the right knee? And like, how should I say it? Should I say her name first, then, and like trying to optimize the language you'll use to close the will you marry me? When you realize that it's all the value you've built up before, the trust, the rapport, the connection. Yes. So there's a lot more that goes than the line to ask Visa or MasterCard in closing a sale.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, jeez, it's about time.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Sales Energizer Show. We have our guest, right, Dan Jordan, joining us live.
That was awesome. Well, you know, okay, so I almost remember what I was going to say before, but yes, you're hitting the nail on the head with everything here. You're like my alter ego with this stuff. But now, you talked about, you know, getting married and selling and all that stuff and being a good salesman. So tell me about your personal life. Last time I spoke to you, you were in another part of the world.
Yeah, so I live in Bali, Indonesia.
Look at this.
So I set up my, well, is interesting. It was pre-COVID, but then when COVID hit, I was quote unquote stuck there. I had to make a choice, and I decided to settle in there. And my God, that was the best decision in the world. And then I couldn't find reasons to leave, so I stayed. But now I found one, which is I miss my family terribly. So I'm I'm spending 3 days with one of my best mates here in London, catching up. Hadn't seen each other in 5 years. And then I'm heading out to Canada, Ottawa, Canada, and I'll be spending 2 weeks with my family. Easter weekend and my birthday on Sunday. So it's like on Jesus's rebirth, the Jason arrives. I like it.
Oh, look at that.
Amazing.
That's cool.
And so, birthday. Thank you.
Yeah, happy birthday. So I like the way he said the Jason. It's just similar to the Deej.
The Deej.
It's very simple. That's
I think my alter ego, it's funny. I even named my cell phone like this. It's J Cray, but I don't know if it's a good brand. I think I'm gonna put it down.
J Cray. Yeah, I think you need to have an alter ego because, like I've said many times, the Deej can do things that Dan Jordan could never do. You know, you just got to put on that face. In fact, when I used to do sales training for people and people wouldn't be able to make the cold call as themselves because they had that, that inhibition of saying, oh, what are they going to think of me? I said, use somebody else's name, use his name, and he used your name, and back up just by being a different person, you're willing to say much more. So create that different person.
Yeah, and it's outside of sales too. Have you noticed like people that could be the most introverted could get into a costume, like a mascot costume, and they'll start breakdancing. They'll be completely a different character. There's a lack of vulnerability that happens when you get to either it's change your name or change your appearance and just not be identifiable, which interestingly enough probably shines the true you more than when you're acting the way that you're protecting yourself, right? All of this fear of rejection and stuff kind of takes it away from your true self that you could show up when you show up anonymously, which is interesting.
Well, it's just like when people get all angry and curse at you and give you the finger when they're in their car. Somehow they think they're protected in their car, that they're able just to go ahead and flip you off. But if you really want to freak somebody out, just when you get to the stop sign after they've just get out of your car a little bit and just stand there and look at them. Just see what happens.
Just go knock at their window and say, "Have a great day."
I've done that.
Don't blink.
Oh, check this. I've done this. Like somebody had like thrown something, out their window and stuff and littered like that. I've gotten out of my car, picked it up, and just walked back to my car. And I said, "I got it, no problem." And just walk. It was like the most like passive aggressive thing to do. So,
you're welcome.
Yes. Very fun. All right. Awesome. So what do your programs look like? Like if someone's going to hire you, how long is it? And what can I expect to get out of it?
Can I be honest with you, gentlemen?
No, you may not. I want you to lie to me like Chris Stone does all the time.
I'm at the beginning of my journey. I'm just launching my program. So my biggest thing I've been working on for the last 2 years has been the book. And when I first started writing the book, I was still working for a company. I was being employed. So I hadn't put together a whole business ecosystem. But what I would say is in the process of writing a book, it's such a powerful mechanism to clarify your ideas, test your hypothesis, like get feedback on how well does it resonate or not. And then when you go into conversations and someone brings out a point, you've actually had a chance to process it and put it in writing. Just makes magic happen. So I just launched my membership this month, and I have a small group of people that are with me. They're doing deep dives every month. I bring guest speakers every month, and we do accountability every week, because a lot of people who are on their own need that butt kicking that is required to bring that energizer level. I know you know what it's up. To be able to consistently do the actions that bring the best results. And so I'm so excited to be doing that. I also have a challenge for a whole week where people just fill up their whole maps around selling with love, which gives them so much clarity on their impact, the clients they want to serve, the products they want to build, and the processes they want to use. So this is really where I love to shine. And then I'll have clients that will come on for initial like one-on-one consultation. I'll work with the CEO or their head salesperson and just help them implement the whole thing. So yeah,
how is the Deej? How is the Deej not on that thing?
I don't think your episode's released yet.
I cannot believe I'm not front and center. That's insane.
Well, I don't think your episode is released, Dan. So
okay.
There you go. You are due on May 3rd, sir. So May 3rd, the Dan Jordan is coming out on the Selling with Love podcast.
Look at that. Well, let me make one suggestion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me make a suggestion in that case, in regards to your program, if you're just getting started, because I think it's great. You're doing all the things right, the 5 things that people do who really succeed in this coaching type and training type of business. One, it's the spirit of preeminence, where you are the best and you're providing the best and all that, and confident in doing that. 2 is charging. You got to charge more than you think, because you charge commensurate to the value they receive, not to just an arbitrary number that you pick up. 3 is doing webinars. You got to do webinars, but you're doing podcasts. You're right in there, and so you're doing everything right to build it up. And then the 4th thing, which I think is what we're going to touch upon now, is it's a lot easier to build a sizable start a company serving the many, instead of one-to-one, doing one-to-many. And so having this community, you're able to do that one-to-many, and you could leverage your time, do it from anywhere and all that. And then 5, of course, is having a mentor, someone like Chris Stone who can keep you accountable. So in that same realm, when you're working with your customers, if I can give you one bit of advice to add to make it more successful for everybody, and that is if you can, a daily stand-up. And a stand-up meeting where you just say, what did you do? Or what are you working on? And I guess what are those 3 things? What did you do yesterday? What are you working on now? What do you expect? Or what are your goals or something like that?
What I do is what did you do last? I do it weekly. So it's what did you do last week? What are you doing this week? And what are your roadblocks? And then we make sure those blocks are removed. So
right. In those things. But for the daily ones, they're real quick. You could even do them it could be, on Slack or something like that. But when you're accountable, not just to you, to Jason, when you're accountable to the whole community, you'll do more through the day. If you find, we're going to miss the meeting today, even I will slow down, because you want to be accountable to the group. Anyway, just an idea.
Honestly, a great idea, and I'm actually going to implement it in my group that I have, which is on LinkedIn. So everybody every day I can get them to go and put up that stand-up. I like it. Thank you so much. You
got to do a stand-up, and if they don't do it, they know.
They feel it.
And so, just a fun thing, but I think it's terrific to do, and that's a way to avoid, the challenge with salespeople is like we think, you can get pumped up at the beginning of the week. Man, you get a good kickoff on Monday morning. By 9 o'clock, you've already had 1,000 evil thoughts. To bring you down. Sometimes, I'm a big cold caller. I just like doing it. I like everything cold. I like cold pizza. I like cold toilet seats. I like everything cold. I have no problem with it. But even if you put down the phone and then you have to pick it up again and dial another number, just that action of shutting off and starting off fresh, you've already had some, why am I doing this? Oh, this hurts. Oh, I have to, you need that inertia all over again. So daily stand-ups, baby, you just need them there just for a little accountability. So, so there's your group. So you're looking for customers right now and to go on to this. So how would somebody, let's say I wanted to join, what would I need to do?
Well, pick up the book. That's always the biggest thing I tell people. I have a free, when you go to sellingwithlove.com, people actually can get the first chapter for free and get a meditation to connect with their buyer persona before they go and make cold calls. So just to really empathize on who you're about to connect to and the difference you're going to make.
I like this whole buyer persona. Do you see that?
He does that. Okay. Being grounded and present. I'm using my radio voice. If you would enjoy a meditation with my voice, you can get one for free.
So do you meditate regularly?
I do. I worked at Mind Valley, so I actually had. It's funny. I'm working for a personal growth education company, and the first day I walked in, I didn't even know. I was like, "Oh, hey, I don't even know what we sell here." Should have done a bit of more research, but they had a couple fancy flagship products I was aware of, like festivals, and then I realized, they do a lot of meditation, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I should learn how to do that." And I got started, and it's one of those habits. It's like every time I do them consistently, magic happens around my life. And every time I stop doing it, and I'm like, why am I not doing the things I know that work? And so you do it, the more consistent you do it, the more it brings you. And when you slip, you just start again.
All right. So help me. I equate meditation with prayer. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but, and I don't know that I pray right, and I don't know that I meditate right, and I don't know that I even do it. I have a certain kind of routine that I do, and I don't know what we'd call. But so, what is your morning kind of? And I imagine you do it in the morning. Is that correct?
I prefer the mornings, but you can do it.
Okay.
We're going to go on a tangent, but it's an important one.
Tangent?
I love tangent.
We never go on tangents, Chris.
So, there's one thing I'd love to make a small correction, Dan, which is. There's no way you've ever failed doing a meditation because there's no such thing as failing a meditation.
If there was a way, I would figure it out.
Well, look, I'll tell you, if you just brush your teeth, like this is from oh my god, Gilong Tubten. He was a monk that trained the staff or the actors on Doctor Strange about like Eastern philosophy and wisdom. And he's a trainer that's come to the stages that we were producing. And he would always teach this technique saying, meditation can look as simple as you've pressed the button on the elevator and you decide to say, oh, look where I am. And just being present to that thought. Or brushing your teeth and saying, I'm brushing my teeth right now. That's a micro meditation moment of just being present to what's going on. Because a lot of times we're thinking of the future, we're thinking of the past, we're thinking about what to say next. But if we just take like a collective moment, if for the people that are watching this video and for you guys that are watching, if you just look at the lens or look at me and just go like, all right, what's happening right now? That can be a meditation, what we just did right there. So when you bring the barrier down to be this easy, then everything on top of that is a bonus. So because, it's like, if you want to meditate, if you go to a Vipassana 10-day silent, sit for 7 hours meditation, only then you are worthy. And if you are not, you will be gone, cast to the abyss. No, like it's a great experience. I've done it, miserable, but liberating, but not recommended for everyone. But that's one type of meditation. So there are many types.
Yeah, that got incredibly dark really quickly there, Jason.
Yeah, I know.
For that. We needed that. But I love it because it's almost like, I think too many people think about meditation as a stop button. You're talking about it more as a pause button. Maybe it's just breathing. Maybe it's, just hit pause, breathe it in. And you can have those little, maybe snack size meditations maybe throughout the day, and that works for you.
Sometimes a meditation can just be a moment you go, all right.
Yeah.
It's like a burp. Sometimes
a burp and a toot.
Sometimes you burp and you're like, man, that was a good one. And you're really, or if you sneeze, I got a question for you. If you're alone in your house and you have to sneeze, do you cover up?
Absolutely not. Oh. Why would I stop myself from the joy of a great sneeze?
I'm telling you, a sneeze is the great. Sometimes you feel it in your back and you're like, oh my, you feel like you got all the toxins out of your body and you don't want to block it at all. It's really a great experience. And so now if I'm appreciating my sneeze, is that a form of meditation?
Yeah. And again, why not? It can be what you want it to be, right?
You know what? You know who would agree with me with that, Christone? Anybody who wears a ring on their thumb. Hey, listen, thumb ringer. What?
I have wisdom.
You haven't noticed his thumb ring? By the way, you have a really good camera too. Put your hand all the way close to the thing. Look how
autofocus.
Yeah, autofocus. That's really cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want rapid autofocus, be sure to capture yourself on a Sony camera with a Sigma 16mm fixed lens. Will be the most magical experience on all your live streams.
Would that be Amazon? Maybe a 6400, a 6400, a 6000?
I got an old school one, man. I got a 5100, but my friend downstairs, I just set him up with an A7 III. But he's got the movable lens. He's got the 16-35 where the aperture only goes 2.8. I showed him what a 1.4 looks like, and I got the blurred background. But you can still see my gangster rat.
Look at that
gangster rat, but
yeah. Hey, Dan, you don't know about the 6400, do you? The flux capacitor either. You're
listen. I know their numbers. So
I know there are numbers.
Yeah, so we're there.
I wanted to take an opportunity to geek out because as much as I'm a sales guy, I'm also on a geek spectrum. So I'll use the opportunities that are thrown at me.
One of my greatest experiences giving a speech and a presentation. It was a keynote speech or a kickoff speech for a company that manufactured just various kind of like household items. And I put up this picture of one of the things that they made. And I was making the point that everyone's a salesman. And so I said, I don't care if you're, in human resources or a truck driver or the guy who changed the gasket on one of these things. And I put up their picture and I said, which is, of course, we all know is an RV LP propane regulator dual tank automatic changeover valve. And because I memorized it was the whole thing. And so, I was really proud that I knew what this thing was. And so I said it like that. And I said, well, of course, we all know even the guy who changes the gasket on this thing, which of course we all know is an RVLP propane regulator dual tank. And some guy in the back of the room goes, hey, that particular unit, you don't need to change the gasket. Like, it completely ruined my entire thing. But after I said that, knowing about their products to that degree, I owned them. There was a feeling in the room like, this guy's one of us. And that's what happens to talk about, selling with love or loving your customer enough to learn an intricate thing about their business. And you don't got to worry about selling. Like Jeffrey Gitomer says, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. At this point, they're just totally buying. And that's how you own a group. And so it's impressive. The fact that you know all those numbers and all those things means you're interested in that. And knowing about your customer means you're interested in them. And there is nothing sexier than having somebody that digs you.
Amen. I mean, it's so funny because every time I speak of my 5 loves in selling, the second love is love your client. And I always have to clarify, I'm not saying to romantically get involved with everyone you sell to. I will get a lawsuit for that. No, it's the way to show love is to understand. Like, you think about an argument between spouses, and if I'm a man and my spouse, let's say, would be angry at me, and you start telling things, and at some point there's usually a moment where they say, you just don't understand me, can be the key in a break in communication and intimacy. Just like in a customer, if you're just going out ripping out these numbers, these datas, these features, is like you haven't taken time to understand them. You just know your product. So now they're thinking they just don't even understand the problem that I have. So to truly sell with love, one of the loves you need to have is the love for the client. And the way to show that love is to understand them, get to know them, spend the time to learn the part so you can connect with them. Empathy gets built. And that's the greatest way to sell.
Yes. Well, and along those same lines, and I tell this to people, never use your industry lingo. Because it has the opposite effect. Because you're saying it so naturally, it's the PL96 5100, and and you say it so naturally, they think to themselves, man, I should know this, and now they feel slightly like an idiot, and so how they equate is, you just called me an idiot. Now they hate you. You've just lost the whole thing just by talking about industry. Very good. So you gave us the first 2 thing. Why don't you give us the third point of love of your 5?
Well, I'll list them out. So we have, the first one is love the impact for everything that you sell. Like, be clear on what impact that sale is going to make for that individual. Even understand the impact on a ripple scale to the world, and even the impact you want to have for yourself on why you're selling. Because a lot of people are wondering, like, why are you even selling this to me? And it's like, well, I know that by selling this, I'll have a lot more businesses that want to do good in the world, that are reluctant about sales, can learn to sell beautifully. And so that'll solve their individual problems. If a ton of businesses that are doing good things learn how to sell, it's actually going to reduce the number of businesses that are scammers, douchebag marketers, and salespeople. I used a technical term. And I want to be successful as hell. I want to be abundant. I want to live a great life. I want to be an example role model that when you do good, you can be abundant. You don't need to sacrifice yourself. So those are examples of how I get clear on my impact. So when I go sell, I know that's the difference I make. And when we think about, hey, when you want to sell, be enthusiastic, nothing gets you more enthusiastic than being clear on the purpose and the why and the impact of why you sell. So that's the first one. We talked about the second one, which is love the client. Make sure you understand them, study them, get to know them, not intimately, but still intimately, as in detail.
So love them like people. Oh, I love pizza. Like, you love pizza. But
well,
you're
I don't know if I need to know what's. Yeah, I guess I do want to know what's inside the pizza.
You're not going to marry
it. Yeah, it's love him enough to care. Like, I'm talking caring, right? That's the type of love, is how much do you care about the customer and the difference you're going to make in their life, the problems you're going to solve, right? So the third love in there is love the product, and this is where I just make a cute line. I say, don't fake it, make it. Like, don't fake the product, make it awesome. The biggest thing that I spoke about, the guilt and shame before, is if you have a really bad product, it's going to be hard to sell. So over deliver, build it, fix the kinks. It's not going to be perfect, but I have a feeling, especially if you're a solo business person, that you're going to do everything in your power to make it right, especially when you're just getting started. And if you're an individual salesperson, get curious about the product. Go talk to your engineers, talk to the founder, learn more about the product. I used to sell swimming pools. And what I did is I went to install swimming pools so I could understand the process. And all the people in the district I was working were blue-collar gentlemen. So I said, yeah, what we do is, we take out the turf, we'll actually level the ground, throw some stone dust about 3 inches deep, we'll compact it. And I could tell them all the stats. They loved that. They related. This was electricians, plumbers, etc. They're like, he's one of us, just like you said, Dan. So love the product, know about it so they can relate to the customer. And when you know the product and you love it, you can make the match because you understand the client. You love them too. You're like, wow, this product's great. It solves this person's problem that I know, and it makes the impact that I know. You've just built a powerful stack of your own marketing materials, your sales script, and your readiness to go out and learn the fourth love of selling, which is loving the process of selling, which is where now we get to have fun. What are the scripts we use? What are the CRMs we use? What are the tactics we apply? How do we prospect? How do we identify? Do we use social media? Do we build a website? Do we do webinars? All those are processes to sell, and they are powerful. And when you know that what you do makes an impact to the right people with a great product, then every time you use processes in selling, you're not manipulating people into buying. You're showing empathy because you're speaking the language that is necessary for them to understand the value that you want to give to them, the problems you want to solve for them. That's when you start loving the process and using what is necessary to convert.
That is money. And I love the reference to Chris Stone Dust.
What's this?
He's part of making a pool. Hey, Chris Stone, you have a pool too, right? They actually
I
use
do.
Chris Stone Dust
do
to
have a
make
pool.
your pool. That special thing of it. Well, I mean, that's dynamite. And you exemplify this by kind of you live kind of a loving life. You really do. You just I have a feeling you wake up every day and just kind of love the fact that here I am in London today. I was in Indonesia yesterday. What about spouse, girlfriend, wife, children? What do you got?
Amazing girlfriend. She's an angel, and I miss her terribly because she actually stayed in Bali, Indonesia. But we communicate often. I make she loves what I speak about. She loves my book. Yes. And so a loving partner, and she's fantastic. So I will see her at the beginning of May when I return back to Bali, Indonesia.
Bali, Indonesia. I like how he doesn't just say Bali; he says Bali, Indonesia. Is there another Bali somewhere?
I think there is, but it's because, it's so funny. You would tell people Indonesia, they'd be like, where's that? And then you say Bali, and people kind of know Bali, but I want to bring up the street cred for Indonesia too. So I say Bali, Indonesia, so you know that Bali is in Indonesia.
So what's a day like in Indonesia that forced you to stay there from the beautiful confines of Ottawa, Canada?
Well, let's start with weather-wise. That's the easiest one to pick on. It's beautiful weather all the time. It's really warm, very humid though, which is an interesting part of being in London. Like, I'm going to the gym with my friend and we're doing weights and I have zero sweating. I'm like, it's so dry here. This is crazy. So there's a benefit to training in deep humidity. But yeah, the days are fantastic. I drive a scooter everywhere. So I wake up, you have a villa, you take your scooter, you can go and have breakfast at a cafe, have avocado toast, coffee. You can go to the beach, if you have a dog, you'll have all your dogs go play with everyone else that has dogs and get to hang out. Then, I'll either work from my home where I have my studio and I'll do a bunch of recordings, do a bunch of interviews. We recorded there, Dan. So that's our podcast is going to go out from there.
That's right.
I'll go to like co-working spaces, meet some people. I organize meetups as well. So I have a group of people. They're all in a WhatsApp group. Once a month, we'll meet up, and then I create social events for that. a habit that I do want to kick is I do appreciate shisha, but it's not good for me. So oftentimes I'll go to a shisha place where I had a great, I think I'm going to have an audio failure from the iPod here.
Does Chris Stone, while he's fixing that, does he think for some strange reason that we know what the heck a shisha is?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Hey, you and I are
I'm using the industry terms.
Yes, there we go.
It's a hookah. It's one of those Moroccan smoking pipes, with tobacco.
Oh.
So you have coal, tobacco, and you smoke. I shouldn't even be talking about this. I'm trying to quit, and here I am.
No, I want to know what it is.
Yeah, it's like
because I've always seen those people out there, with those hookahs. It's just like it's like a bong, isn't it?
It looks like a bong. It looks like a giant bong, but what you have is this like tobacco flavored tobacco, so like mint and melon flavored, and then you put this on the top, and then they'll put a foil, and then you have coal pieces that heat it up, and then it goes through a water, and you smoke it, and it just makes a nice big vapor. So it's but there is nicotine.
Nice, and
there you go. There you go. Thank you.
And it's a social
on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. So it has a very Arabian, like Middle Eastern association. So hookah, shisha are the names for it, and they look so pretty. But yeah, it's not as popular in North America. But
is it like a social thing? It's like going to
there you go.
People go to a cigar shop and just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, so this you'll sit down, you'll order like mint tea, and you'll maybe have some kebabs and hummus, and then you'll have a shisha. You have a friend with either you're sharing it with friends or everybody's got their own, and you're just chatting. What I do is I sit there. We have one. I have another friend. His name's Jason too. We just sit. He's doing some like tech work. We're sitting. We work, and it's just a fun thing. So like the lifestyle in Bali is so nice. Then sunset on the beach, and then you go home and you relax, watch Netflix. Chill.
That is just wonderful. I don't think you should try to quit that.
Dan, this is living the dream.
I know. I don't think you should try. You should quit that. I think that's great. You earned it. You earned it with all that. Well, this is excellent. I appreciate so much you coming. What?
So we'll just be going out to dinner. What a wonderful hour. How fast it went by, and such a fun time to be speaking with both of you gentlemen. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Well, it's not because of me by any stretch. And it's not because Chris Stone mostly. It's from our sponsor, Interaction, who makes it all possible. I am Mr. Segway over here with Jason Marc Campbell's name. Right, there we go, with Interaction. So, it does what you do. It makes HR, it makes a company, gives a company the ability to show love to their employees on a regular basis without doing any work. And so, the AI world is great. The ability that you could live and work in Indonesia and be right here, or be in London right now and be with us right now. The world has changed. We got to make use of this technology for the better and for the betterment of sales. So anybody out there, I encourage you, go check out Jason. Jason, check out his, you're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, you're everywhere to be seen. How did we meet, by the way?
I met you because you put yourself out there. And so there is this list on Salesy about the top most influential people on LinkedIn. And they put in all the people's LinkedIn information. I found the ones that I thought I'd love to have on my podcast. You were one of them. I messaged you on LinkedIn. I went to find your email. I sent you an email saying, hey, I messaged you on LinkedIn. You should come on my show. I went to LinkedIn. I said, I just sent you an email. I hope you can make it to my show. 2 interactions and the recording was done.
You see, we don't mess around. And that's how this world is now. In the world of sales, the 2 things I've learned, things go very fast. But secondly, the world is so much bigger now, and your customer base is so much bigger now. And so it doesn't matter. You could spin through just about everybody there. Well, this has been wonderful. It's been a very quick hour, like you said. I appreciate you so much. You've lived up to the billing. And so I appreciate that. Chris Stone, once again, is he not the world's best producer?
I applaud thee.
Yes, he's they get better. Like I said, like I started, we try to make this the best podcast you've ever been on. So how was it?
Mission accomplished. It was so fun. It was light. No, it was just like, this is super fun. And I hope for everybody listening, you had as good a time as we had recording it because, well, at least I had a good time. I don't know about you guys, but I had a great time being here. So thank you so much for having me.
Right. Well, listen, tell your buddy downstairs that if he's lucky, we might give him a shot too. And for all you out there, remember, listen, this is a lifestyle. Sales is a lifestyle more than it is just a job. And you get to choose the lifestyle that you want. And it's by the way you act on a daily basis. And the routines you set up for yourself allow you to live a life like nobody's business, like nobody else can in Indonesia and in London and in Canada and here with the Deej. Chris Stone, thank you again. You're awesome. You really are. Jason, no one's better. It's been my best podcast with you ever too. And all you out there, remember, eat well, live long, and prosper. Go get them today.
Go get them.
Well, if your sales team sucks and you don't know what to do, call Deej 678-910-9912. Call Deej 678-910-9912.